years, but certainly I would never have done something like that. So I apologize that my name was used. I apologize for those of you who were impacted by the hurtful things that were said in that, and again, like I said, I will find you, so come up to me and make this less painful than it needs to be. So, thank you.
Next on the agenda is guest. For 5 minutes or 5 minutes for questions. First up is the ASUC Student Union.
Hey y'all, I just have 2 quick announcements before the art studio and marketing after discussion. Real quick, there's still money in the discretionary fund, Senator discretionary fund. 90% of it has not been used. So to make it easier, I have set on my schedule open office hours. Anyone can drop in unannounced, Mondays 2 to 5. Just drop on in, it's going to be in the Lead Center, so just use your money. Secondly, the AD search, the Associate Director search for the Student Government team will start next week. We have 3 candidates coming next week. I strongly encourage you to go because this person interacts directly with the ACC and the GA and will help shape programs and initiatives for the student government area. So they will be next Tuesday, Taja Mazzani, the Thursday, February 12th, that's Rebecca Knopf. And then Tuesday, February 17th, that's Joan Iva Prossett. Those are 3 excellent candidates. I'll try to put the times on the report that I'll put on the ACC Central Drive on the governing doc, the official reports. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Caitlin Nomura-Weinbrough, and I am the Assistant Director of Marketing and Art Programs for the ASUC Student Union. And as I think you were told at the last meeting, we're going to do some more in-depth announcements on each unit of the ASUC Student Union, and then you'll get the full union updates on a one-time per month basis. So please feel free to ask me or I any questions that you might have about the Marketing and Art Programs unit. So here we go. So I am pleased to announce that the renovation of the Berkeley Art Studio is now complete. This includes a new ventilation system, a new office, a new classroom space, a new accessible entrance, an updated ceramics studio and darkroom. Members and employees have been very satisfied with the newly updated clean studio. And all of that renovation is thanks to the Bears Initiative and all the good stuff. So, we received an innovation grant in 2014 that is well underway. Just last night, we started with 35 students who are generally, EOP and underrepresented students, and they're working with a professional video artist in creating personal digital video narratives. So this will result in short autobiographical films that will be screened the last week of April and will hopefully be installed in monitors in the new student union. And that's all thanks to an innovation grant. Next, in this, we've just started a new session, so our winter session of classes is underway right now. And in that session alone, we've already had 41 students take advantage of our scholarship for free art classes. And this scholarship is actually funded through a wonderful CACSIF grant, and that was actually a 3-year grant that we got. So for the next, for 2 more years, we're going to be able to give scholarships away, usually totaling about 150 to 200 scholarships a year, which has been really exciting, and people have been, really excited and really taking advantage of those. So as I said, our winter art classes have begun, and we have 445 members registered for classes, and that's about 60% UC Berkeley students and 40% community. At 445 members, that makes it officially the largest number of students the studio has ever had signed up for classes, which is great, and we are functioning at complete capacity. Of course, with that, we run into issues finding space, so, and hopefully some of that will be alleviated with the opening of the new student union. Registration for our spring classes begins on Monday, and those classes begin right after spring break. Our collaboration with the Osher Lifelong Learning Center continues, with classes for older community members available at a deep discount as well. The Art Studio has hired 4 new student assistants, as well as 1 project assistant who will assist us on such things as writing grants, for things like TJF grants, for a new clay recycling program, or a new innovation grant to hopefully put a mural in the Cesar Chavez MLK Breezeway, which is a dream of mine. And then lastly, for the 100th anniversary celebration of the Campanile, the Art Studio is planning a painting workshop in which participants are instructed on painting the Campanile on plein air with a professional artist there. So let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm going to hand it over to Timothy Dreyer, who's going to talk more about marketing specifically. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. All right, I'll try to make this quick. So on the marketing side, our department has hired 6 new student assistants, including 3 graphic design assistants, 2 social media assistants, and an event photographer. You should see Cesar floating around here later on taking pictures of you all. These are apprentice-style positions that incorporate learning design skills along with assisting professional staff for the student union. Our department is building a photo archive of events, programs in our campus environment. We came on board, we probably had 10 photos that were all low resolution, so that's extremely exciting. So the Student Union Photo Archive is limited, and our images are often overused, especially the ones that are within the UC Berkeley Style Guide. So this is an important aspect of our marketing campaign. Our designers have completed the official ASUC Student Union Style Guide. So this will be available to all staff and students, hopefully on our new website. If anyone's interested in seeing it now, feel free to reach out to me. This is obviously our branding standards for the ASUC Student Union logo, and everything else that follows with that. Our web designer is currently working on the Lead Center website. I know that is a big project, which will be completed by Cal Day. That's our due date. After that, she will be tackling the Student Union website. She's actually already started it, but it will be finished and complete by July, so that's really exciting. We have implemented an overarching social media strategy as well, which the marketing department will oversee all postings, running consistency and relevance while creating better awareness and engagement on all social media platforms. Cal Day marketing is underway, which will include the unveiling of the Lead Center brand as well as a teaser campaign for the opening of the Student Union. And with that, the Student Union Grand Opening Committee is also on its way to get started. So if anyone has any interest in joining our committee and helping plan this Grand Opening event, please reach out to me at tdryer@berkeley.edu, and we can be sure to add you on that committee. The more students, the better. So, thank you. Finally done rambling. Any questions?
Questions for the Student Union? Senator Sue?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for coming.
No problem.
I was wondering if you had a Photoshop class or Illustrator class?
Yeah, actually, right after spring break, we're going to be offering a class on Photoshop and Lightroom, so Adobe Lightroom as well. And then we're going to have a general design class too, which covers like Illustrator and just graphic design, InDesign, and just graphic design in general too. So hopefully, with the opening of the new Student Union, we'll be able to have more of a graphic design lab, which I would love to have. That can really like wrap that up and just have a full, course of graphic design, typography, and all, the entire Adobe suite that we can offer to students, because I know that is extremely helpful on, resumes and for building job skills and that sort of thing as well.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Next up, we have UCPD for 5 minutes and 5 minutes for questions. Good evening. Just wanted to share real quick about what the weekly report is. So I'm not sure if I did it last semester when you were elected, so that way you know what's going on, why I actually report on the things that I do. The things that affect students the most are bicycle thefts, laptop, phone, backpacks, IDs, and of course casualties, be it alcohol or drugs. So those are the topics that I always cover from week to week when I say, hey, we had this many thefts, so you actually understand why I'm reporting this and things that affect you the most. And the other thing that we all make some public service announcement, if something really big that's going on, or if there's something that you need to be aware of, I will share that. And then after that, whatever questions that you come up with. So for this week, starting on the 28th, we've only had 2 bicycle thefts. And if you're unfamiliar, typically we have about anywhere from 3 to 5 per day. And it's almost all students. I'd say about 97% students. And you may not be aware, last semester, maybe semester before last, there was a grant from the ASUC, and I also believe the Graduate Student Assembly as well, to help us buy some decar bikes. They're basically, they have electronic transmitters in them, and it's used to help us track a bike after it's stolen. Just this week, we made 3 arrests using the bike program. So it's been very helpful because now we're actually able to go to somebody's house in Oakland, retrieve our bike, take that person to jail, but most recently we've also recovered laptops that were stolen from students, cell phones that were stolen from students before they actually made it to Craigslist or a pawn shop. 2 laptops stolen in this last period, and there's only been 2 reports of a wallet or an ID that was stolen. We've had 5, I think it's like 6 casualties, alcohol or drugs. What that typically means is between us and you, talking to your constituents about party safe. If you're going to do it, it's that time, it's, you're going to college, and I don't say don't do it, I'm just saying do it in a safe manner so that nobody has to rush you to the hospital. And the last thing, we're hiring. And I mention that because out of the last 7 people that I have hired personally, 3 of them were UC students, and we pay quite well. So just so you know, I just want to put it out there. We're going to start a recruitment in April where there's testing to see who wants to go to the academy. So if anybody's remotely interested or getting close to that time, contact me, because we're all hiring and we consider our home first. Before anybody else is looked at as an applicant, we look at either UC employees or UC students. And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Hi, thanks for coming. I was wondering what progress, if any, has been made on partnering with RSSP to get full-time and nighttime included security at the village.
Oh, there's a lot of progress. Let me tell you about that. I'm glad you asked. There's actually going to be a substation at the village now. There's going to be both an officer and a bike security officer working there. So great that you asked. So now there's going to be a lot more full-time presence, because having a substation is great for us and it's great for the community because we'll be on site. Now it doesn't mean, just because I say that, we will be everywhere every time and crimes are suddenly going to disappear. I don't want to fill your hopes like that, but we'll definitely have a response.
And that is 24/7?
It'll be close. It won't be 24/7 because, again, the nighttime shifts are smaller than the daytime shifts, so that person will still have to fluctuate between there and campus, but because of the substation, he will be able to stay a significantly more time at the village. And I think that kicks off end of April, beginning of May. It'll be ready and running 100%. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming. I was wondering if fraternities fall under your jurisdiction or PPP?
If what?
Fraternities are under your jurisdiction or PPP?
They are in the city of Berkeley. However, typically with our constituents, when they call, we come, and sometimes if we just so happen to be in the area, we will still take the call.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Senator Wicker.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I just had a question about, I was wondering if you had any updates on what's been going on with sexual assault lately and why that was included, with numbers per Cleary, and what you updated first. Were there none this week or as lately, or do you have any information on that?
It's included in Cleary. I don't give you an actual Cleary report. Because if I would include burglaries and car thefts and things like that. I don't include Cleary. Just some of the minor things that you say that affect students the most. And as far as for that, the chief is actually hosting a system-wide and beyond our system, but everybody in the system will participate in a sexual assault workshop where speakers, representatives from various groups from around the country who are experts in the subject matter will come present, and they will basically be collaborating on how to better serve their communities. And that should be, one of them just happened, and there should be another one, I believe, sometime before we do our annual training for the officers. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Senator Hurd.
Hi. I just had a question as to maybe you can provide an explanation as to why, and it might just be me, but I've seen an influx in officers issuing tickets, I don't know if it's Berkeley PD or UCPD, for both jaywalking and for temporarily stopping while a car leaves a parking spot. So specifically, I guess on Bancroft Avenue.
Bancroft where?
On Bancroft Avenue, it was in front of Copy Central. I've seen at least 3 officers turn their lights on when a car was waiting for another one to leave. And I know that sometimes finding a parking spot can be difficult, but I want to know, is there like a safety justification for that? Or maybe should something like that? And the recent monitoring of the intersection of Telegraph and Bancroft.
Well, Telegraph and Bancroft, I can answer to. Telegraph and Bancroft has been a hot mess. That's the best way to describe it, and it's thanks to the construction site. The construction site has made it pretty dangerous for pedestrians because when they back up and they block the roads and they stop traffic, people get a little antsy and they creep up and they get closer and closer to pedestrian walkways. Pedestrians are walking. Some people will leave a little early before the light turns green. Some people will drive like right down to the amber, turn into red. So yeah, that intersection has been watched a lot because it's become dangerous because of construction right next to it. Drivers get a little antsy. If you watch sometimes during the day, between 3 and 5, or even if there's not a game, traffic will sometimes back up all the way to Piedmont. If there's a basketball game, Lord help us. I've seen it go Piedmont all the way to Memorial Stadium down Bancroft, all the way to Shattuck. And it's basically a safety hazard for pedestrians. Like, they don't really care that there are students walking back and forth. They just care like, hey, I just got off of work or whatever. I'm in a rush and I gotta go. So yes. Now as far as for Bancroft and College, I think is the other intersection.
Just from Bowditch through Telegraph, I've noticed like a car, like I'll be walking and then a car will stop because another car is leaving, and then the police officer immediately comes up behind them and puts the lights on. And I've seen it happen at least 3 or 4 times.
I have noticed an increase with Berkeley, not UC Berkeley, with Berkeley PD, and I think again it's because of the hazard. They're being like, they don't want anybody to stop. They don't want any traffic to back up to have these impatient drivers put students at risk, or pedestrians at risk, I should say.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next on the agenda is Executive Officer reports for 5 minutes and 5 minutes for questions. First, we have President Pavan Padi.
Hello everyone. So there's like 6 things of note to describe. The first is for people who are interested in the undergraduate initiative shred, we names. Thank you to Dree and King for offering yourselves. If any of you have not and want to be part of it, please do that soon because they do want a list of names so that they can start the planning process as well. I created a list of communities and kind of shared that with them, so it's going back and forth. And if any of you want to see that, I'll also share that with you. Second thing is, on February 25th, there is, to kick off the national conference to prevent sexual violence that the school is throwing, Dr. Anita Hill will be on campus, and there's going to be a special reception for her on February 25th at 5 p.m. And if any of you would like to be present or know anyone who would like to be present, for that reception, let me know, and then we can make sure that they're there and can kind of help receive her to the campus. That's two. The third thing is some things that we've been talking about now are kind of like collaborating strategic planning with the student union and the ASUC, and that's what we're going to be working with the new person, Jesse Grimes, who took over for John Scrogg's position. We're going to be working with them on that. I had a meeting with the Chief Financial Officer, Rosemary Gray, so what we're trying to do now is put together as many data points as possible about how funds are being used, where the budget's going, like different metrics that happen from year to year, and we start to do like some interesting like statistical analyses on these. A lot of this data is kind of like, I can't get it myself, so I need to go through her. So if there's any data that you all would like, that you know is not publicly accessible, just let me know, and we can start working on getting this data. And hopefully this is going to be something that will continue year after year. Another project that's kind of completely separate and tangentially related is going to be a metrics on elections project that someone is trying to do to just do like statistics on how elections or historically go, what people are historically focused on, how many people historically vote, how like these trends go over time related to issues. So that's another interesting thing. The mobile app actually has Bear Walk and Bear Transit, and that's in beta testing right now, and it actually completely works, so we'll be sending that out to all students. Yeah, just meetings are starting to happen again. They're not that fun, but we're really focusing this semester. Oh, and the last thing is I'll be working with Rob to figure out how we can create a shadow week or some type of transition for the execs for next semester. Yeah.
Hi, that shadow week thing is awesome. Is there a way you could do it with like senators? I know that's really specific, but for example, like it took me all semester, last semester, to build bridges with pre-med folks, and I know that there's several pre-med candidates running, and it would be awesome if I could like, I don't know, transition them, but I don't know how possible that is.
I mean, that's definitely possible. So the idea for the shadow week is I wanted to have like every administrator that I meet with on a regular basis to set up a meeting with them to talk about like what we've done in the past year, and then have that person there. So have the last week of April be dedicated to this, and I'll start reaching out to them now so that the person, the successor would then be able to go to all of these meetings and have those relationships starting from before summer. It would be less feasible for Senate just because of the nature of Senate and the party nature of Senate, along with the number of people in the same communities aren't always represented. So I can't necessarily say that would be as easy to do, but I'm more than happy to talk about that because it sounds like something that would be a valuable use of time.
Senator Ramesh.
Hi, Pavel. Thanks for coming. Are you going to be holding another event, David Building Bridge this semester? Because last semester it was extremely useful and fun.
Yeah, so we're actually, some senators should have been reached out to by someone from my office, so I'm not going to necessarily say exactly which ones they are because I want to talk to those communities first. But we will definitely be having our athletes one. We are going to be having a couple others too, but I want to make sure I talk with the communities first to make sure that it's something that those communities want before we actually just like charge ahead and tell you that we're doing it. But we do have 3 planned, and like all the logistics for them are kind of in the works. So yes, that will be happening. And then we're also trying to branch out our campus climate department to do like 2 different things. One is like data analysis, and another one is kind of like a lot more small scale events, as well as partnering with our mental health department to throw a lot more events on the plate. Yeah.
Hi. I'm really excited to hear about Bear Walk on the app, so that's exciting. I have 2 questions. The first is if there's been any progress in having the 20 senators meet with the chancellor and or the vice chancellor, Steele, vice chancellor Steele, or provost Steele. That's the first question. So, what you?
Yeah. So we've talked about it. The big question is when. So I'm still trying to see if there's like a part in the schedule where we can do a type of lunch kind of thing that was happening before. So I'm working with like the people in this office as we speak. So that's in the works, but I don't have like more information because it takes like 2 days between each correspondence. So.
Awesome. And my second question is, I'm sorry, Justin, is what the necessity of reviewing election material is, and like seeing trends. Like I could see value in that, but I also see a lot of value in other things that might take priority over that.
Yeah, there are other things. The thing is, this is a person who's been working on our budget visualization, who just really wanted this as like a project. So just thought I would share it with you. It's more just to see trends year after year and specifically see voter turnout and see how we can either increase or change voter turnout and how like the cyclical nature of voter turnout works. That's kind of like the way that it goes. A lot of people were talking about different ways to engage voters. I have to talk with people from GCOM now to figure out like what the new bylaws are related to that, to see like if we can do like all campus class so people go out and like have like the election like thing, different things like that, as well as making sure that that's not partisan. So that's like just like so you all are aware, so you're not just like, why is Poppins office doing like all this stuff related to elections?
Thanks for coming in. Just a question to follow up about what you brought up about campus climate in terms of the data analysis. What's the vision behind that? Who's going to get the data analysis? Like, what would that be going towards?
Yeah, so this was kind of like continuing on. We were working, it kind of got derailed last semester. We had like a big group of people who were interested in it, working with the MSD offices and trying to get data from like the past 10 years. And then tuition hikes happened, and then protests happened, and there was a lot of, and then it just became very difficult to organize all the people. So what we're trying to do right now is get all the data from like the past 10 years of surveys that were done across the UC system, and then have that data ready, and then we're going to use that data to start bringing people into the conversation, and then try and create a kind of steering committee who's able to do the strategic planning around this issue. A lot of it is really just there's going to be a new vice chancellor for academic inclusion, so that's kind of like what we're focusing on.
Hi, Bob. So I'm not sure if your office heard about this. I had a meeting with the ASUC Student Services, and they let me know that the libraries have a new kind of process of getting outside sounds approved at Memorial Plate. And so they now reduced it to 60 decibels, which is pretty quiet. And so I was wondering a way that you could help me talk to those libraries, because I know especially for events that aren't necessarily concerts, so for example, like educational events that might have a speaker on the plate, it's really difficult to get that approved and go through to get that going.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. Do you know who made this policy?
I don't know who made it, but I think the biggest problem would be Moffitt and Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of the next steps, but definitely if you just send me an email, we can make sure that I think at the very least we should have a waiver policy so that there's like the ability for different events, specifically education events, to be able to waive that 60 decibels.
Okay, great. I'll send you an email. Thank you.
What's up, Bobby? Yeah, ditto that comment. I've had the same problem and heard it from a lot of people. My question was actually about perspectives, or kind of the fundraising free perspectives thing that was happening in the spring. Do you know what's going on with that? Someone from my office reached out to your office and hasn't heard anything yet. So I was just interested in like getting an update.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is we've been working with Becca and trying to integrate it. The big problem is, so like there was like one person reached out to a couple, like on many different companies and trying to get sponsorship last semester. That hasn't really panned out. So the only other way we can, like, and then we also tried to reach out to a lot of cultural groups to try and see if there's a way to do kind of like package ticket sales. So like perspectives would be kind of like rolled into a package where if every show itself is, let's say, $10, then you buy this one package ticket, which would essentially sell each for, let's say, $5. But then you make up that difference because you'd be able to fill the seats at all the different shows. That didn't really gain a lot of traction either. So we are trying to come up with like a different model. The only thing that really seems possible is if like the ASUC funds it with new like money that's going to be coming through. But we won't even know that until like not only next year, because we have to do the budget for next year, so it would be like a year and a half or more from now. So the fundraising part's actually been very difficult in terms of that. So like we have people who are still in the back there regularly, like once a week and trying to do that, but we kind of put a wall together.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bobby. Next up, we have the External Affairs Vice President, Caitlin White.
Hi, I'll keep it pretty brief because most of it is in my written report. First of all, UCSA board meeting this weekend. We're voting on CA1, which administrators have suddenly started emailing me about. This is the first time admin has cared about me. I'm really flattered. And then we're also voting on divestment. Hopefully you all know my stance on divestment by now. If not, it's that I'm voting yes on divestment as this bill is currently written. That could change if the bill is amended, but that's where I stand so that you all know and that so it's in the public record. Hopefully you all come out to the city council meeting next week on Tuesday. It starts at 7. I would recommend getting there before 7 if you want to actually be able to sit down. And there's a rally starting at Bancroft and Telegraph at 5:30 that a lot of black students are leading that you should totally join if you have time. There will be a rally outside of the chambers itself at 6:30 if you can't make 5:30. Either way, even if you can only come out to like show your face and show support, it would be really powerful for city council to see more ASUC people than just me and Matthew. And then lastly, we're having 2 more lobby trips to Sacramento in February. It's going to be really fun. I'm leading one of them, which is mildly terrifying, but it'll be okay. They're both on Wednesday. The one next Wednesday is at 9:30, so we should be back in time for your afternoon classes. The other one is February 18th at 1:30. And so if you have morning classes, you should be able to do morning classes, but not afternoon classes. And then depending on people's interests, we can also try and schedule lobby visits those days and just get everything done in one fell swoop, because those 2 days are committee hearings, and the 18th will be the first time that we actually get to look over the budget and talk about it. So it'll be really important to have a lot of students there. So even if you can't go, like, please tell your communities. I'll send you all an email tonight or tomorrow with all of that info that you can just like forward out. We have a Google Doc interest form, so it's a lot easier for people to just like get their name out there so we can put them on our lists. And we ask that people like tell us their state senator and assembly member on that form so that we can set up lobby visits before we get to the Capitol. So those are my 3 updates. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Questions for the AVP? Senator Lucy.
This isn't a question, this is just a statement. You've kicked butt all year and you're still kicking butt, and like, thank you just for being so awesome.
Thank you, Tree.
Senator Lucy.
What was the timing again for the rally?
Yeah, this one starts at Bancroft and Telegraph at 5:30, and I believe they're convening around outside of the City Hall chambers around 6:30, and that's down on Millian in Austin, MLK in Austin, yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, it's on a Facebook event. If you haven't been invited yet, I'm sure one of us will invite you pretty soon.
Next up, we have Academic Affairs Vice President Mon Shane Chow.
I have kind of a long report, so please bear with me. The about next steps for the applicants and orientation for those who are approved, what support ADP staff play in this, and then what the report to the chancellor at the end of the year looks like, and whether ASUC will back that by vote, which I think that since the Senate made it happen, that they kind of should, but we'll talk about that later. The bookmarks for grants will be out by Monday FICOM, so looking forward to that later. Sorry for everyone who's not good enough to be on FICOM, but we have a new class of interns coming in thanks to Shansu. We have a new appointment to undergraduate council, which is a new council, as you all know, that Justin Pavin also sit on. Our appointment is a third-year Carly Doro, and she's also in the SAO office. She's awesome. And we chose her, aside from the awesome part, because she's also a third year, and that is part of our plan to institute younger generations of students to sit on councils and committees, both administrative, campus-wide, academic, but as you all know, undergraduate council is new and it streamlines the process for changing undergraduate curriculum so that folks are not bouncing from CEP to COSI to CAPRA and whatnot. Rest Zones is moving forward with Denham and the UEP staff. There are preliminary discussions around Moffitt and VLSB, and there is a working group, so please contact Denham if you would like to be a part of that working group that provides Rest Zones on campus. Other updates from the more committee side, Student Advisory Council on Financial Aid and Education met for the first time on Thursday. There was an awesome Daily Cal article written about it. And an SAO staffer, Anthony April also sits on it. The three main goals that we're bouncing around in our pilot inaugural meeting was the student survey that is administered every 3 years by UCOP that basically serves to as a guide for budget needs. In your financial aid where it says estimated need on expenses outside of, say, tuition and fees, say book supplies, food, rent, all of that, that comes from the student survey that is sent out every 3 years. Now there is some criticism of that survey because it is based on student self-reporting, and as you all know, in any kind of statistical survey, participants who choose to report are very self-selecting. So there are some discussions around there. Other discussions included financial literacy resources. It's a problem that is very classically UC Berkeley. There are tons of resources. None of those resources talk to each other. And so that is something that the council is also discussing. And then lastly, it's from Financial Aid Scholarships Office themselves, but what is the service to students? What is the experience of students through financial aid? One of the first ones that came up was that really scary email that says your financial aid package has been changed. Have any of you ever gotten that email? It's terrifying. So yeah, that's like one of the experiences that we would like to change. CAPRA this week was canceled. However, I have received an invitation for a student report for the end of February between myself and Arturo, who is the graduate assembly representative. The things that I am going to be including are topics of financial literacy, student spaces, mental health, food security, campus climate, and tied to that, faculty diversity. If there is a part of that report that you would like to add to, please let me know. I'm more than happy to share the work of creating this report to CAPRA. Next, SACU, Student Advisory Council on Undergraduate Education. I sent an email about this earlier today. We're still accepting applications. Today we talked about the library and how Moffitt is transitioning the
4th and 5th floor towards a 24-hour model that may or may not include allowances for food and drink. Next, last week I attended the UC Berkeley Food Security Committee retreat, which was a 5-hour retreat on a Friday, but it was so awesome. There was a whole 6-year plan that we laid out that talked about healing hunger and approaching holistic nutrition security. And I am in talks with Ruben Canedo, who you all heard of from last semester, on to create a bill of support from the ASUC and institutionalizing ASUC student support, while they are also attempting to create a larger pantry, put it in a specific portfolio under a vice chancellor. For example, we have no associate vice chancellor of health and wellness. Maybe we should. Lastly, ESF has a new coordinator, and that happened at around 5:30 today.
Questions for AAVP? Senator Michael?
Does the intern program fall in your office?
Huh?
Does the ASUC know never mind?
Cool.
Any other questions for AAVP? Okay, thank you much, Aaron. Next up, we have Susan Kibuchi.
Hello everyone. First off, apologies for not speaking my written report. I forgot. So that's that. Updates for the week. We had the kickoff for the It's On Us campaign last Wednesday. If you see the photos online, share them. If you see it around campus, great. If you not put up more posters, I think we're having some of the ASUC to help spread around the world. So that's exciting. We had our meeting, the UC-wide task force, last Thursday. We talked mainly about some of the metrics we're going to be collecting for all the different campus adjudication processes across the UC system. As productive, we started talking about adjudication and minimum sanction standards. So that's the beginning of our next phase. We'll be having lots of ongoing conversations about that. We had a retreat last Friday for all those that are working in sexual violence policy and students and staff that work in the topic. Overall, I found it to be very productive. I thought some good ideas came from it, and people got to know each other a little better and start collaborating. So that was really good. February conference planning continues. We're giving mainly insight on 2 aspects of it. There's an opening session they're doing, which we're trying to help steer, and additionally, I'm going to be talking at one of them around respondents' issues, which should be interesting. So that's currently our participation in the February conference. Interviews continue for the OPHD assistant director, so we're continuing interviews. Once we have 3 finalists, they'll come to campus, and then we'll be having open student forums, and we'll be publicizing that to you all when it comes up, which will be around mid-Feb. So also, I obviously met with OCR when they came to campus and had a long discussion with them about many things going on here. So that was interesting. Hopefully you all got to touch base with different folks if you're involved in sexual violence policy. It was really great. They were out there on trial. They were pretty active in meeting folks, so that was positive to see. Also, working with through the Title IX Advisory Group, we're working on a set of FAQs that will go on the Sorority Support website. So basically, on different aspects of how to report, there'll be FAQs related to questions around reporting. We made one that we liked, and UConn made one, and trying to make us use it, so now we're trying to reconcile the 2, so it's going to be fun. Also, our UC-wide policy on sexual violence they made some changes, which are going to go out for public comment soon. So usually it's like a 30-page report. You have to read it to actually get public comment. I'm trying to simplify that this time. So I'm going to make a cheat sheet. So it'll tell you what are the key changes that have occurred, and I'm also going to give you all a Google form so you can just give your comments on each one of the points and how you feel about it. So I'm trying to simplify the comment period because last time no one gave comments. So hopefully you'll be able to hear some more from you all about what's working and what's not. So that's some of the main things over there. I think the big question UC-wide in our campus right now is how do we redesign the hearing process and adjudication to make it better and more fair, because we've been having a lot of trouble with panel hearings. Banking consolidation is ongoing. The RFP is going to be out this Friday. We're going to be looking looking at it and giving feedback this Monday. Thank you all that have reached out to give some feedback and thoughts on that. And please keep it coming. We'll be continuing to update you as that moves forward, and we'll provide details in the RFP once we have it. Other stuff my office is working on, we're evaluating how we can better the temporary DSP process, and thank you to Vinay staff. We met with some folks over there. Basically what we're trying to explore is that right now, if you're a survivor seeking accommodations, you have to go to the Director of Sexual Violence Prevention, who's Monty. She would then talk to a professor. The problem is that when she does that, you're identifying that student with the sexual violence issue because she's the one reaching out to the professor. And it kind of outs that individual. So the question is, maybe temporary DSP might be a better way to go about seeking accommodations because potentially through that program then you're anonymous. So we're talking to Marty about that and seeing if that's possible, but we're trying to explore if that's even something that could be useful. Working on council proposals for next semester, thinking about working with the undergraduate council about changing grade appeal processes. And then we're recruiting. So if you have any folks in your community that want to join, please let us know. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Rishi, thank you for coming. This is a question kind of for both you and Senator Broder. Over the past 2 weeks, I've had several members of the Greek community reach out to me in terms of and they happen to be men, what they want to do to put on sexual assault prevention workshops, stuff like that, and actually work with y'all. But they don't know who to contact, so they contact me, and then I end up giving them Megan Warner's number. So what, in the event this happens again, or how can we make you more accessible? You are very accessible, but for students that aren't engaged in the ASUC, who do I connect them with?
Totally. So one, you can connect them to me, but I guess it depends on what they're looking for, right? So if they're looking for programming around bystander intervention, and that, the consent workshop, that's all under Megan or under the Greek against sexual assault. So they go to people for that. If they have policy questions, I can work and answer those with them. So we've given a presentation to some of the houses, much more dry presentation about the policy and what houses are responsible for. And that's something I think I'd be more useful on. But if we're talking about programming, I think talking to Haley, talking to Gasa, talking to Megan, those are the right people for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, you want to add it, please?
Yeah, so I've talked to quite a few this week that sent to me, I think, so thank you for that. But Megan and the ASUC Sexual Assault Commission, the commission in general, it's not just Megan, should be for programs and events, and she also runs sexual assault in my office, so she'd be good for either of that. And then also just go straight to Monty if you have questions on any of that.
And in terms of if you want to talk to me, my email address, I hope you will have it. You just reach out, my phone number, day or night, I'm happy to talk to them.
This is more a Drew's question, but there's a GASA request form on the Mexican Sexual Assault.
Yes.
So
We shared it on our Facebook, so you can see it there too.
Hi, Rishi. This question is in regards to the February conference. I just earlier tonight I had given people the heads up about it, and they just asked me an hour ago if they could still sign up. Is the applicant or is the sign up or whatever still open, and would they have to pay how much money?
Yeah, so I think the sign-up's still open. I forgot what the fee is. I'm not sure if Amy still has extra free student. I'd have to touch base with her. So if they're interested in attending, have them email me, and I can coordinate with Amy to try to get them at either the free or reduced rate. I'm not really sure what it's at right now. Maybe I'll get some information.
There were no free tickets at all. There was a reduced student price for the first 100 students to register, and it was still a lot. I think it was $36 or something like that, plus $18 for an email or something like that. But if you're under the first 100 students to register, it'll be cheaper. But you can also get Senate discretionary fund or whatever to pay for that.
Totally. And honestly, I'll be happy to use a portion of our budget to fund people that want to go, that are working your staff or something like that. So if they really want to go, I'm down to try to figure out a way to make it work. Whether it's working with Amy and saying, hey, this person's really critical, they're not going to pay, and just squeeze them in, or using some of our budget, whatever it takes. But yeah, it's been really kind of a pain how infeasible it is with the fee they're charging. So happy to explore options with you.
Any other questions for us? Thank you, Rishi.
Thanks.
necessary in order to make sure everyone actually applies on time, what the process looks like, etc. I'm sure that we'll talk more about that later in the ASUC official reports. Wheeler Late Night will be starting soon. We're trying to change the marketing and branding of it, specifically to reach out to more students. I'm going to need all the centers help in order to get the information across to make sure that everyone is successful together. The CSF survey has been released. You all saw the email in your email inbox or whatever with the terrible formatting that was in us. I was definitely the chancellor's office. But other than that, please make sure you circulate that widely. A lot of the future ASUC projects, and especially for next year, for all of you that will still be here for next year, this information is going to be invaluable, especially in terms of how to support those various campus departments. A lot of our efforts this week has been concentrated around Cal Lodge as well. Got to talk to Henry Flynn, who's currently managing the Cal Lodge right now. And we've actually been making a lot of revenue for the month of January. Making it more for the month of February. And so it looks like by the end of this year, it's like projected to be around like 80, 90K of revenue. I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying this in public. Whatever. But that should make up for a lot of the different costs that we've been investing into the Cal Lodge in terms of the management structure. And so for the long-term strategic plan and renovation plan, they'll definitely contribute to those costs. Looking forward to that. Really briefly, Alec is meeting with TPG tomorrow to talk about how to work with the consulting projects. That's self-explanatory. For Senator Calusi's question earlier about Senate transitions, actually in the Constitution, when you actually read the Constitution, it says that the current UVP is supposed to get the newly elected to come into Senate for transition. It's not really transition, but they have to come in for like 2 days at the end of the semester, or else they're not allowed to be senators. Which I don't know why we didn't follow that. So, yeah, I'll definitely invite them, make sure they come into Senate meetings for their if they're in particular interested in the current Senate class, one would definitely themselves in more exposure. Another conversation that's currently going on right now is the Publication Center. So for those of you who don't know where Suite 2 is, that's currently the Publication Center provided by OCF. When the new building opens, OCF will have their own space, which is significantly larger, but there's not really any room for the Publication Center. So we're currently trying to figure out what that relationship is going to look like. The Publication Center is doing great about providing support for the OCF. And we're trying to see what that relationship is going to look like in the new building. Lastly, is the ASUC archive. So we're working with Becca to try to facilitate the transfer of the archives into the new building. We're not 100% sure what it's going to look like, mostly because we've been spending a lot of last semester and this summer to talk about how to digitize them and like actually report them. For those of you who don't know, a lot of our past records were like severely damaged in the past because of the fire damage. And so like our past history, that was only on paper. Back then we didn't really have internet or anything. A lot of those got destroyed. And so making sure that we do have digital copies of those has been a central effort, but moving into the new building, that relationship also gets really tricky, and so we're trying to play around expanding instead of taking its role. Yeah, so those are really quick updates on my end. Are there any questions? Senator Lucy.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you too for working so hard this year. I probably should have on this, but I guess like this is a good time as well. Senator Gordon and I were in a meeting earlier this week, and it was mentioned to us that they're hiring and creating a new position for the Vice Chancellor of Business, apparently. So, yeah, I mean, I probably should have asked Paul, but yeah, this is something all senators should be aware of, because Madison and I really want to push for students to be on the selection committee, especially because we already have like 12,000 Vice Chancellors and we're getting another one. Also, to me, it's pretty vague about where the line is between this and some of the other existing chancellors. I'm not really quite clear on why they're creating this position. So yeah, just a heads up for everyone. I should have brought it up to Bob during the next meeting. But yeah, if anyone hears what is this in your admin meetings, that's where we heard it. So
I would also recommend talking to Marjane about that, just because Marjane is also in charge of selecting any member who goes on to the committee, and so realistically, we probably for her.
Yeah.
I don't see the bill about consulting on the business. Tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. it's on another meeting. They just have to establish the scope. This is like all very new, so they have to come up with a proposal. They can't steal it from the other group. And you can talk about this in FICOM.
For clarification, we were proposing a bill on new business on the agenda so that by FICOM next week we can input the proposal. And it's not on the new business.
Hey Justin, do you have any information or data about who's been booking the Cal Lodge so far? Like where are these projects coming from? Like the ASUC groups or the alumni? Like who should we be targeting more? Like get more people to decide about this?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question actually. So a majority of the current bookings right now are small organizations. I think there were 2 from Davis actually, which is really cool. So our breadth or scope of like people who are actually staying in the college is growing. I know that Henry Flynn, our management company, has been doing a really good job of like sending that out to everyone. We're also working with him right now more to edit the flyer that he's sending out because it doesn't say ASUC on it right now. So after that, things changed. Most of my staff members are going to be sending out all of the flyers on Sprout, just like sprouting like it was any other organization or whatever. But we're definitely going to need y'all's help in order to publicize the flyer as well. Any other questions?
This might fall under jurisdiction. Did you able to locate the tent?
No, that's also not my jurisdiction, but I think Joe just worked it.
Is there a way for making the net program accessible for all students?
They should be able to enter as long as they have a copy, and then as long as you make that clear to them. So on the online form, it's usually the signature, but when you log in, as long as you have Cal ID, stop you. Any other questions? Cool, thank you. Moving on is the ASUC official reports from the Chief Financial Officer who will be presenting on spring budget data for the Okay, but either way, before we actually get into that, let's just continue on the agenda. So we're going to go through the committee reports versus governance and internal affairs. Chair, Senator.
Hi everyone. The Governance and Internal Affairs Committee convened on February 2nd. SB 44 and 51 passed with unanimous consent, and SB 52 passed with unanimous consent with amendments. I thank GCOM Senators Joe Harwell, Lucy, and Gabrielli for their presentation on the new finance bylaws. GCOM also discussed amendments to the ASUC Constitution that may be drafted as a referendum due by March 18th. Possible constitutional amendments discussed include practices and a more representative Senate, along with Senate stipends. Please raise your hand for any input regarding GCOM's future projects. Thank you.
Questions for Senator? Okay, thank you. Moving on to University and Internal Affairs, Chair Senator Zasali.
This week, XCOM did not meet.
Questions for
$400 to $500 for second year groups, and $600 to $500 for third year groups. Yeah, so that's just for your personal reference, so you know the numbers that have changed for your student groups. Just let them know. Yeah, that's it. Also, Dennis said he's hungry.
Questions for Senator Nadeem? Senator Nadeem?
Hi, Miriam. Thank you for the report. I tried to ask this question offline, but it seems like they're always referring back to you taking way more coming to BICON. So and I think this applies to all, just in case there's no discretionary fund, but I recently used the Cali Fund to get reimbursements for an office project, and I contacted 3 BICON senators and contacted Dennis, and they all told me that they were coming 2 BICON meetings ago, so I just haven't heard a response from them about that. I'm just wondering if those Cali forms actually come up, or for the Senate discretionary fund. I'm not sure if anyone has tried to utilize that recently. Well, from the report, it sounds like it hasn't been, so.
I didn't get an email. But in general, reimbursement does not go through BICOM. Reimbursement goes through the lead center. So if you are trying to get a financial rule waiver, which other senators in this room have gotten through BICOM, then like for things like food or whatnot, okay, does somebody else want to respond? Then you come to BICOM.
Thank you. I'll have someone help me with that.
Any other questions for Senator Nadeem? Well, thank you, everyone. So Alex just told me that we had to do this, but we basically have to approve the committee reports, and we haven't been doing that. We didn't do that last year either, but so are there any objections to approving the committee reports? I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the committee reports.
Second.
Any objections? Okay, the motion passes. Dennis is here, so before we go on to the consent calendar, let's go into the ASUC position reports from Chief Financial Officer.
Chief Financial Officer from ASUC. And this is Selena.
Hi, I'm Selena. I'm Director of Student Services under AP.
So one thing is the Spaces application and spring budgeting and also mid-year report submission. I mean, application will be in the same form this year, so we'll go more into that later. And yes, okay. So, what is spring budgeting? So, spring budgeting is an ASUC annual budgeting process. Yes. Yes. Whoa. Hold on. Yes. Thank you. What is spring budgeting? Spring budgeting is an ASUC annual budgeting process, as you all may have known already. So it is a way for also groups on campus to receive funding from ASUC, and over 95% of the ASUC total revenue, actually it's over 100% of ASUC total revenue, is allocated through spring budgeting. So normally FICOM do each week is allocate funding for groups, right, for additional funding. But keep in mind that that total allocation that FICOM gives for groups every year, that total is less than 3% of the entire ASUC funding. So spring budgeting is way more important. Well, I think FICOM was important too. But yeah, okay. So there are a lot of resources like CFO office hours, which is by appointment, and Senator's office hours, obviously. So usually you all should advertise your office hours in your community or in your blogs or whatever. Yeah. And email me at finance@ASUC.org, or actually any senators, any ASUC officials will do. And for Spaces, also Selena's. What's your email?
It's spaces@ASUC.org.
So either finance@ASUC.org or Spaces, SPACES, at ASUC.org. And or you can go on this website, ASUC.org/warden/page/funding. But you will find out that other instructions will be on the actual application, so you don't actually have to go on this. Yeah, create a tiny URL. Something this. So criteria. So in the beginning of when I started my role as finance officer, and I looked through all the bylaws, and people kept telling me, oh, yeah, spring budgeting is very important. But I tried to find spring budgeting in the bylaws, right? But the only thing I can find that remotely relates to spring budgeting is under the duties of finance officer is to be in charge of creating an initial proposal for the ASUC annual budget. So, that's spring budgeting, but there's not actually any description or any timeline and criteria or anything like that on actually how to describe spring budgeting. So, it has been, the criteria and timeline has been, basically set by each finance officer and passed down from previously. So these criteria, this passed down from, 10, 20 years ago. And each finance officer makes slight modification to it, just depending on how they see fit. So the first one is 2014-2015 mid-year report. So mid-year report is, if you don't know, it's one of the requirements for being a ASUC sponsor group. So each group has to complete a mid-year report. Normally in the past, it's being submitted towards the end of December, so in the beginning of winter break. But since last year, we've combined this to the spring budgeting form because it contains a lot of information that would help a lot in the spring budgeting process to help people that are submitting the spring budgeting, help them know how they're operating as a group, so that because sometimes even they don't know how many members they have. or something. Yeah. And second is previous allocation from past academic years. So like, if your group, let's say like, if your group is operating basically on the same capacity, like last year than compared to next year, so you probably will get the same amount of funding. So because like if you're operating in the same capacity, why would you more funding or less funding? Yeah. And total number of years of ASUC sponsorship. So this is largely on the new year groups because first, second, and third year groups have different specific requirements on how much you can get from ASUC. And for unspent allocations, this is mainly for groups that like receive a lot of funding but don't use all of them. So like this has created some problems last year when mainly on the bridges organizations because like the unspent allocations worksheet that I have shows that they did not spend a lot of funding that was allocated. So like because when I did the spring budgeting allocation, I like allocated without looking at the organization names. So I just based on the data without the name. So yeah, and I mean like we'll want to this year to see like how to accommodate different special needs groups, and the rest pretty straightforward total student groups. And like you can see that there are some criteria that actually cannot be quantified, like contribution to Cal community, scope of campus influence, like how are we going to quantify that? Yeah.
You might go into this, but is there a spot in the mid-year report to explain maybe why a group hasn't used its budget fully?
No.
Can we add that? Because I know for some groups, they might request 20,000, get 10,000, and only spend 5 because they really needed another 15 to put on whatever else they needed, and that just wasn't going to come. So I think being able to explain oneself might be helpful.
Yeah. So yeah, that might be helpful. One thing to note is that when they fill out the spring budgeting form, it's like during current year, so the budget is not over yet. And they don't necessarily have the financial documents from the previous years because like officers from clubs that they usually roll over semester by semester. So they don't actually have it, and it will be a lot of work to individually send out the information to each student group. So we'll have to work that out. But yes, good suggestion. Okay. Yeah, going back to things that cannot be quantified. So like contributions and the scope of campus influence, these are basically criteria for finance committee to decide when like how much to give for a student group. So let's say like so when I do the initial allocation, I cannot be biased, right? So I cannot say like when I like a group or if I'm in a group that I give them a lot of funding instead of just like yeah. So like so these are for FICOP when they do secondary proposals to take consideration of like what they actually do on campus and like how they actually influence the community as according to the ASUC mission. So I mean yeah. Problem. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna simplify this. So application is available on Calling starting May 16th, which is February 16th. Amazing. February 16th, 2 weeks at midnight, and which is on Monday. And during the application period, they can contact finance@asus.org for more information. And it closes on March 13th, on Friday, 11:59 p.m. So like this is this deadline is set like on the website, so I can't extend it. I mean I can, but like it will cause a lot of trouble in fairness. But usually since like spring budgeting is so important that usually there are groups that will miss the deadline due to whatever reasons. So usually I will finance officers will allow like a couple of days in the download to accept late applications, but please do not advertise this. Yeah, and what else? And then, yeah, and the initial application will be available on April 6th, on Monday. So that will be available on like a single document on Calendar, and it will be sent out to everyone. And individual emails will be sent out like later, probably 2 or 3 days later after that. And they have 1 week, less than 1 week to appeal. So like Monday is send out the initial application, and the immediate Friday after that is the deadline where they can appeal. So if they don't like the amount they're getting, just submit the appeal application. It takes 30 seconds to be done. And what else? And the FICOM will hear the meeting on April the 13th and the 20th. That's the rumor that y'all been hearing about, like going to 3 or 4 a.m. Yeah, that's that one. So like in the appeals application, they will have the choice of selecting April 13th or 20th to come to FICOM and present the appeal reasons or whatever. If they don't show up to the meeting on the selected date, they will be granted appeal because it'll be unfair if they didn't show up to the date for the district group. And then FICOM will make up the secondary proposal based on the appeals, and then it will be submitted to the full Senate as a single bill, and then it will be passed hopefully by the last Senate meeting, April 29th on Wednesday. And then groups can expect their funding in mid-August. Any questions on that one? Cool. Yeah.
Can you go back one slide to the criteria?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because it says contribution to the Cal community, but are there any considerations for also like to do a lot of work for maybe that's impactful outside the Cal community? Because I know there are student groups, whether it's like educational outreach or things that are very impactful and does translate a lot of the work that students here do, but it's not on campus, rather it's like off campus.
Yeah.
So it has just like
yeah. So these criteria, they're not all the criteria. The criteria I am basing is like the ones that you can quantify, and the criteria that is not quantifiable is based on how FICOM see fit as what they want to fund as a ASUC or student groups. Yeah.
To help, I guess, with King's point, is there a portion to denote whether it's a SIG or a SAG?
Is that something?
Like a student service initiated student group versus a SAG. Like, is there a portion to denote that on that?
Yeah. That's like an important point. yeah. I'll show you that later. Process and timeline for spaces.
Just to clarify, for the spaces that ASUC controls are the basements, storage spaces in Hearst Gym, and we're also going to get the office spaces in Eshelman. And for the allocation is the same application with the spring budgeting, so that they don't need to fill out another form. So until the initial So the application will be open on February 16th, and due March 13th. The initial decisions will be released on March 20th, and they will be able to appeal until April 3rd. Then we will make final decision on April 10th. We're pushing the deadlines a little bit earlier than the FICOM because of the whole storage space situation as well as Eshelman. And there's a couple minor details. The move out for student groups with storage spaces will be until April 24th actually, and then their mandatory orientation will be 25th with move-in. And this move out will entail student groups whose storage spaces have been removed from what they have currently, or if they have a change in the allocation. And then after that, we're going to do orientation where they can get all their key combinations, and then we'll move on to move-in. Since Eshelman is going to be where all the office spaces are going to be, so we're going to have separate applications within the same whole application process. But for
office spaces, that the deadlines are all same until the final decisions and mandatory orientation, but we have different timelines because they don't really need to move in, move out yet. We're going to have different timelines for each different cohort group so that they can pack and then we can decide when they can move in after they're done with the building. Sure.
Are engineering organizations allowed to apply for spaces, or does the conventional institutions?
It depends. If they have ASUC sponsorship, then they can apply. It's one of the criteria. It's how many student members are going to be accessing the storage. If they have ASUC sponsorship, what's their reason for needing that space, and history of past space that have been allocated. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about how this decision-making process is going to go? Like, what's the committee that's going to decide?
It's mostly going to be the ASUC EVP student spaces, but we will also, with the appeal process, we will also get advice from like the lead center or other EVP offices if needed.
So if senators wanted to be a part of that process, they could be? When this group is deciding office space for the new echelon, can senators be a part of the decision making?
Any other questions?
Sorry to mention this, but is it with these three budget applications, so that you at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
By the way, Howard is also part of the directors for spaces. He doesn't want to come up. I just want to recognize him.
Yeah, okay.
Want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Haljin. I'm one of the directors of Student Spaces. I'm a little bit late from another meeting.
Okay, so let's go to the actual application. So, not Calus, CalLink. So, go on callink.berkeley.edu.
So yeah, just to clarify, Senate can be part of the decision process. It's during appeal process. So we, the ASUC Student Spaces, will try to reach an agreement with the student groups. If no agreement can be reached, we'll present the decision to the Senate for a vote.
Okay, so you should see the homepage of CalLink, and also if you can upload a picture, you can upload a picture. Okay, so like on top you can see my shortcuts. I think you are all part of the ASUC Senate group, which is this one. So if you can click on that, that'd be great. If you're not part of it, you can go to organizations and then search for Senate, enter, and then you can see ASUC-Senate SO that one. And then there's a Senate page. Are you all following? Yeah, cool. Okay, go on, go to forms. And you should find the spring budgeting /spaces application. And so this is like the direct way to go to the application. But for student groups, I'll just send out this link, calling.berkeley.edu/form/start/18964. That's a direct link to the application. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Wait, what? Okay. Let me go to admin access. Yeah.
As a normal person who is a center and doesn't have that complete shortcut, you just launch the homepage, go to campus links, and then there's like a section that says different finance need like forms, and then you click on that, and then you can see the spring budgeting form. You can't just get that link from the person.
Wait, what?
You can just go into like home.
Wait, was that right?
Home campus links.
Oh, and then.
There's a drop down. And there's a section that has forms.
This one? This is a waiver forms. Maybe you can see.
It still has
Oh.
spring budgeting.
Okay. Yeah, that works too. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So either that way, or go to your shortcuts, or go directly if you know how to do it. Yes. But let me go to admin access to show you something else first. So, spring budgeting application, where is it? This one. So there are a total of 13 pages in spring budgeting. And I'm actually going to go to the actual way to show it. Okay. So, it will be available for student groups on February 16th. And so like they can create multiple submissions. As you can see, you can just create a new one. Or you can complete the ones that you didn't complete, like resume or if you submitted it, you can't change anything. But if it's doing progress, then you can. So I'm gonna create a new one. And then there's a page with other instructions. So let me highlight what's important. I think it was in time and ASUC is undergoing fiscal reforms. So this is just to make student groups not to over-apply funding. And they have to submit a media report. So there's 3 portions of this application: media report, spaces, and spring budgeting. And if they are doing either spaces or spring budgeting, they still have to submit a media report, because every student group has to submit a media report. So, and table of content, this is all the pages, because last year Melissa was like, oh my god, this is not finishing, oh my god. So, so this is a list of pages that you have to complete. So there's instructions, and then it's a patient information, and then make your report goes first, and then ASUC information, and then spaces, and then finally spring budgeting, those 4 pages, and then content information. And so all the instructions for the spaces will be on page 8 and 9, which we'll go into that later. And timeline, we'll just talk about that. One thing to note that is the certain groups that apply for spring budgeting has to be an RSO with the lead center first before they can apply for spring budgeting. So there are situations last year when certain groups were in the process of becoming RSO with the lead center, but so they were in the process, so the names were not on CalLink actually. So in those cases they have to contact me individually so that I can acknowledge that the process is happening. But yes, generally they have to be RSO first before they can apply for spring budgeting. And for the step-by-step instruction on how to check the RSO status, click here. Okay, so here's my face again. So you can go on CalLink and then go to organizations. What this is basically just to search for your organization in CalLink. If you find it, that means you are RSO. with the center. If you would like to move forward to the next page without completing the current section, just put any running text in any required text fields. So like upload a running file or like put anything in the required page, and then you can move on to the next section without completing the hard part. It's like taking an exam. Yeah. And Callie can also save your data that you input, but you have to click next first. So like you have to click next before it's for it to be saved. So I tried this one time, like I filled out a long form and then I hit previous. So the previous button won't actually save the link. So I hit previous and then go back and then nothing was there. I was so sad. Yeah. So the way to save it is to hit next. Yes.
Can a group register to be an RSO the same week they apply for spring budgeting and spaces? Or like what, I already know the answer to this, but like by what time do groups need to be RSOs before they can apply for spring budgeting?
Well, I also consider the funding applications if they're in the process. So they have to be in the process and then let me know so that I can be acknowledged that the process is going. But like just apply as soon as possible, and yeah. So as long as they're in the process of like doing the RSO process, that'll be fine. Yeah. So like, what's how to start the process? I'm actually not sure. I think that involves something with submitting a constitution or registering a resident. Yeah, it's basically starting a club.
Because we're going to notify them through Calling by emailing, and only the RSOs will be getting those emails. So if the faster they apply, then they'll be notified to this notice earlier, and then they can apply faster. So, yeah. Yes.
Okay. And please allow 1 to 2 hours to complete this application, as this is a lengthy one. And these instructions are also in the last page. I'll go through that later. Okay. Let's go to the actual application. Full official name of the organization as it appears on the calendar page. For the step-by-step instructions, click here. So I click there. And it has my face again. So basically, like finding the full official name of the organization as to register with CalLink with the Lead Center. So basically, search for organizations, like use keywords instead of using the full name, and then you will find that. So for the finance officer, it's ASUC finance officer. So copy and paste that back here. So like, for example, Superb is not the full official name. Superb is an acronym, which you can put here. Other titles and acronyms. And then missions, purposes, and goals. Yeah, straightforward. Constitution, yeah, straightforward. Scope of campus influence. This is for FICOM when they do the appeal process. They can consider what types of affiliations they have with different groups, communities on campus or around the community, different races, ethnicity, gender they're involved with. So yeah, so let's say if you're a service organization, you can say like you're involved in the service community, and also like what types of service you're involved in, like business, or if you're a Greek organization, you can be associated with fraternity sororities or other Greek organizations. Oh, okay. This is what happens. So these are required questions. If you have to go to the next step, you have to like complete all these items first. So just like, yeah. And put anything, upload whatever file, you can tell them change it later. It's a budget. And then ASUC. Yeah, so you can see later that some questions are not required. So the required questions will have this thing required. Yes. So because this is a part of the mid-year report, so they're all required. So this information is membership information. So basically asking you like how many members you have, and categorizing them. So like how many of them are graduates, faculty, staff, students, and then total reviews and the percentage. And then click next. Yeah.
I'm only asking questions because I think it's important that we ask questions. But this is for current year number of people in groups, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if people want to discuss like how big, vibrant their alumni community is, do they have an opportunity to do that? I know we don't necessarily take that into consideration, but I know, for example, a lot of groups that have been around for a long time really like to boast about their great alumni status and whatnot. So, and think that that's important for us to take into consideration when we fund them.
Okay. So, I mean, they can include that in number of non-members, but I can also add another line item that says the number of members. Yeah. Sorry. Just so in case I forget. Okay, yeah, and the next page. Mid-year report still, programs and events held. So this page is for part of the mid-year report that they have to describe the top 10 most important programs and events that organizations have held in this academic year. So for a program or for an event for being held, it means like they have to be done by the time they complete this application. So if the program or event is not like being finished by the time they submit this application, they can finish it. They can fill it out like in the next page. So yeah, so we're just looking for the 10 most important programs. So like the title, description, what it was, when it was held, when, where, how many attended, general description, and then estimated budget, and actual budget, so that we can like compare like how much is actually being spent. And then we also ask them to self-evaluate the successfulness of the programs, and then do that 10 times. So for a large organization, they probably have like 100 events, they only have to fill out like 10 most important ones. And for small organizations, they may have like one per semester. And so they can just ignore the rest of the portion of this page. Which is why this page is not required. You can see these sections, they have no the required problem. But they probably have to come out. And this page is the ones planned. So this is for the ones that did not happen by the time we complete this application. Basically, same thing. And if they're new organizations, they don't have to fill out the previous page because obviously they don't have any programs or events being held or planned. Yeah.
So between the planned and the ones that already happened, where do the events that happen yearly fall under? For example, there are a couple of big events in the community that happen in April and May. So those aren't planned. Those are planned but haven't happened, but have happened in the year before. And
so it will be falling into this page. Okay. Yeah. So every like recurring events every year, like we'll be considering for the events this year, this academic year. So yeah. So academic year is considered from July 1st to June 30th. Okay, same thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any questions so far? General questions about anything? Yeah.
Also, would you recommend, like, would you rather recommend for them to fill out like as many as they can to give a better image for budgeting, or like the most important?
Well, we're just asking for the 10 most important events. This is to help them evaluate their own events, to like help them to visualize how they're operating as a club and organizations. And it's also served as a purpose for ASUC if we want to check about some groups, how they're doing, and we can get additional information if they actually want to do that. Yeah. Okay, let's go into funding information. So this is for mid-year report. So as you can see, this is for 14-15. This is for the current year. So these are not estimates. So membership dues, fundraisers, grants, department support, corporations donations, other funding sources, like and just the descriptions for any funding that they get for the club. So this is not funding that come from ASUC. So this exclude ASUC spring budgeting, contingency funding, space, big opportunity funding, stuff like that. And uploading a working budget helps them to actually find a budget and actually completing a budget, because for some groups they don't complete a budget because for various reasons. So this actually helps them to actually get a budget for the group and also help them for a later portion of this application, which is spring budgeting, to help them estimate the numbers. And then ASUC's sponsorship information. This page is very important because this has all the background information for that club, like account number, sponsorship category, which is what you talked about. So for a step-by-step instruction on how to find your ASUC account number. So now we are finding the account number for a specific set of organizations. So, well, this is the step-by-step document, but I can actually show you right now. Okay, so we start from home, and then you go to organizations, and then you find your own organizations. So for example, I find finance officer, and then I find myself. And then you can see there's a nice banner over there. And then go down there, you can see finance. So for some students that are completing this application, they can't actually see the finance tab because they are not admin of their own group. So for those cases, then they have to contact the admins or primary contact or agents for that group to access the information. So after you go to finance, you go to accounts, which there are different accounts. So for me, it will be stipend. But for most of the groups, it will say ASUC programs. Like here. Wait. I wasn't sure. That. Wait, what? Oh, it's different. Okay. Finance, accounts. So I used one of these groups. And they usually have multiple accounts, and we're looking for the numbers for that shows programs. So copy and paste these numbers back to you. So that would help a lot for accounting purposes and also for the examiner to actually input the right group with the right amount. So like, for example, sometimes they have like different, same title for different student groups, like perspective. Yeah, the two perspective groups. And yeah. And then after that, any questions on the ASUC account number? Because that was very important for accounting purposes. Yeah, and then the sponsorship category, for returning organizations for old groups, there's a nice little guide. If their account numbers start with 3030, they're ASUC. 3031, SISG, 33, SAG, 34, PUB, they can follow that. If they're a new group, they can just read these guidelines and pick whatever they want. Yeah. And then, most recent year of sponsorship, they can look into the budget and find their own organization. So like, this is the current budget. If I find executive vice president, I will find this, and they can find their own groups and see like, oh wait, what is the agency for? So they can see what they are and how many years they sponsored and how much funding they got last year. So if you can find that information in the most current budget, then you select 2014, 2015. If not, then select whatever. Yeah.
So for clarification, you have to apply for funding to get sponsored?
No.
Okay. So if my student group is not in the budget because we didn't apply for funding, but we've been around for a while, how do I find it?
So they can still apply. They will complete that application, and as you can see on the screen. So for example, the student financial advisory committee, they apply when they fund they get sponsored because they only want sponsorship. So on the budget it will show 0. That means
If for some reason I think that my group has been sponsored before, but it isn't showing up on the budget for some reason, what do I do?
Well, okay. Then you will go to the next year's budget, I mean the previous year's budget, to find if it's on there. If it's still not on there, that means there's also a possibility that it's sponsored throughout the year by FICOM through like Senate Contingency or Space Reservation or GOF. In that case, they should probably know because it's throughout the year, then they can select do whatever. I should have that in here. Or not. Here. Okay, I should add that here too. Thanks for that.
And then the other thing is, do you cross-check?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There are a lot of mistakes that I will check personally. Yes, and then years of sponsorship, you can find the years. Same thing. Previous allocations. So whatever that you have on the budget, you can put that on there. And Senate contingency, how much do you get from throughout the year from FICOM? If you got money, enter whatever amount here in total. Parent organization. So this is something that was created confusion last year because for some groups, let's say ESC or Public Service Center, they are sponsored by ASUC, but one of the main functions of those groups is to provide an umbrella for other organizations that not necessarily have to be ASUC sponsored. So in the Center for ESC, they actually provide funding. They have their own finance committee to provide funding for different engineering groups. So for those cases, they will select yes and provide a list of funding for the organizations that provide funding. And and then we will review them carefully in case by case status. Okay, so that's the ASUC sponsorship page, perhaps the most important page here, because it contains a lot of background information that is essential for spec budgeting and also for ASUC sponsorship purposes. Any questions on this so far? Thank you. Okay. Let's move on to spaces.
So our whole application process is listed here for specific information, and we will be changing these. And we went over all the upper parts. Also, we say in order to ensure the efficient use of the spaces to their maximum capacity, we ask the student orientation provide the most accurate and comprehensive information possible, and we give them contact information. A couple things to note is groups that have been allocated space in previous semesters have priority of their current space because one of our criteria is their historical relationship definitely have to reapply, so if you fail to reapply, then this will result in the forfeit of the spaces. We need to have your contact information so that we can keep going back and forth about the appeal process, and only the ASUC sponsored organizations can apply. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over like the important questions versus what sort of space has your organization held in the past. Because of the historical record that we have we need to review over that. And what are the different spaces that they will need in regards to storage spaces. And why do they need to change or receive a space? And we also asked them what type of activities, events, and programs does the steering groups host, so that we know if they need bigger space or like smaller spaces, so that we can coordinate who can share the spaces with each other. We also asked them about the times of the day the student organizations access the spaces, so that we can further coordinate with different groups sharing those different spaces, because we have 1,000 plus student groups, but we only have like 92 cubicles or so. And we also asked them if they deal with confidential or sensitive information, so that they will be away from the most related organizations. So we try to match like the least related organizations together. And we asked them how can they, if they're okay with sharing.
So a little bit things we are debating on is this line. So this language. So it currently says, what's your organization would you not be willing to share space with? Do you think it's too aggressive? Or should we change it to like willing to share? Or yeah. I mean,
oh, can I get like a deeper, I guess, explanation of why it's best to have non-related space or student groups together?
That was just for the confidential information sake, yeah.
Yeah, so for example, if you are dealing with legal clinics, they are dealing with conflict information, right? So we might not want them to share the same cage with someone else.
If you go back all the way to the top, we say if your organization is not interested in acquiring a storage space, then they can just skip the form. That's why it's not required. Yeah.
So a couple questions, but 5 after this one. Thanks for coming. So first of all, what's a surge allocation? I saw that there, I just didn't know what it was.
Surge allocation means moving from Asherman to Hearst, but we're just changing the terminology so that more people can understand now. But when we say research, it means moving back from Hearst to Asherman. Yeah.
And are you currently using all the cage space and all of the storage space?
Yes.
So how are you negotiating when a student group comes in and says we need space, and it might be in direct competition with an established student group that's been around for a while and has like a valid reason for the space? Like, how are you negotiating that?
So in regards to that, we actually carried out the reallocation process during the fall semester. We accessed all the space uses during October, and then after we did the whole October review, we asked certain organizations who are not efficiently using their spaces, and then we opened the application up for example, like new student organizations who never had like history with us, so that they can like start establishing their relationship with us. And for now, because it's full and we're doing the next academic year space allocation, for now we're just not accepting any changes at this point. Yeah. Any other questions?
Okay, yeah, so this is the Ashland office spaces application. So basically, as we said, we're dividing them because both of them are different admissions and they have different application process. So it's some of them are the same or similar because for example, historical use or what kind of space do they already have. And what type of activities they have been conducting throughout their office spaces. And we very highly value the historical relations and historical usage. For example, if there is a student organization who has not been using their space efficiently, especially office spaces, then they will have, even though they have historical relation with the ASUC, they will be listed lower compared to other organizations because we also want other organizations to have a chance to use the office space. Right? So we don't want, like, if you are using the space badly, we don't want you to use the space continuously badly. So, okay. And what type of activities? Okay, yeah. So what time of the day will you use the space mostly? So we use this information to possibly initiate sharing office spaces if possible. So we understand that student groups access the space in different times. So maybe we can hold office hours in different times using the same office cubicle. So as far as we know, there are secure cabinets for each of the cubicles, so that even though you deal with confidential information, you can actually store like information in secure like cabinets. So that you can actually share a cubicle with someone else. Even if you're like a legal clinic, you can store your legal documents inside a secure cabinet. So your office spaces can be used. So someone else can use your office space while you're not using it.
So what's important for the office spaces is their timeline after the final decision is a little bit different. Instead of doing the whole move-in, move-out, and mandatory orientation, they're going to have packing timeline and move-in timeline to Eshelman. We're still working on different cohort groups and we're trying to meet with them to see when and how much time they need with packing and like moving. With the moving though, this time the ASUC Student Union will freely provide all the services that we need to move the student groups back to Eshelman, so they don't need to care about any of like the furniture and all that stuff. And that's same for ASUC as well. From the meeting that we had recently, we are expecting the ASUC and Student Union are going to move together in the beginning of August. That's what we're shooting for, so that will be established before the school starts.
And student groups will move in later. We are looking at either September or October because we don't want like everyone to rush into Eshelman. Even sometimes it's not even fully constructed. And we don't have a fixed timeline yet, but we will have a more concrete deadline by the end of February. So yeah. Oh, there's one thing to change, which is this. So the orientation, we recently, just like a couple hours ago, we received the email saying that this day is actually Cal Day. So Anaheim is actually reserved for something else. So we moved it, actually we secured the space on the April 25th, which is also a Saturday.
Thank you. Just have an update for the deadline to be RSO to be considered on spring budgeting. There's actually a deadline. I was just speaking with Rob. So if group wants to re-register for this semester, today was the deadline. So they should be informed of that. But whatever. So for new groups to re-register to be eligible for spring budgeting, this spring budgeting, the deadline is the same deadline as spring budgeting, March 13, 11:59 p.m. No, 11 p.m. 5 p.m. when lead center closes. So they have to get started with the RSO process in order to be eligible for spring budgeting.
state, like get started with like what stage does that mean? Like
Okay. So I can say if you're waiting till March 12th to start the application, constitution, and all that stuff, I'd say maybe by early March for sure. Like let's not start anything like that because that's what the process.
Yes. Okay. Any questions for spaces? Yes. Thank you. Okay. So now we're going to spring budgeting operational. So keep in mind that this portion is for spring budgeting. So these are all estimated operational revenue expenses. So like people always say that, oh, I don't know the actual numbers. I'm just like, this is okay. These are estimates. Keep in mind. Okay. So yeah. So like if you look into the questions, it largely resembles to the membership information, the funding information in your report earlier. So we're just asking membership dues, fundraisers, grants, department support, and stuff like that. And add those together to have a total estimated operational revenue. And do the same for operational expenses. But we also asked them to exclude any ASUC spring budgeting, semi-contingency fund, space, reservation, and great opportunity funding that they think that they can get, because these are estimates. So, and like this page is mainly for us to estimate how much they actually need, so that we can like add in ASUC spring budgeting on there. So like if they include spring budgeting, then we'll put like double dipping. Yeah. Anyway. Pretty straightforward. Next page. This is how I'm going to just end it is. Yeah, and this page is for programs/events. So as I recognize, this is how long. I have capped this. Yes. Okay. I have capped this to like 20 programs and events. So like for the 20 most important events or programs that they think they can have next year, we ask them to provide like the description or the expense of revenue breakdowns for each of the 20 programs. And keep in mind these are estimates. Yes. Okay.
Rather than go through each item.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Well, I'm almost done. I just highlighted it. Yeah. I mean, yes.
I actually have a question about the necessity of this particular page. For student groups registering for spring budgeting, I understand it's important for us to know the scope of events or programs that they're going to plan, but is there a way they can just put that in bullet form and not separate each of them with each budget? Or
there was already a page of like the 10 most important benefit folks.
But those had actually been planned. These are next year when we're going to give you money. What are you going to do? It does seem redundant and it seems like a lot of work for student groups.
I think that this is something that we'll take into TriComs first to fit all this in a course and not spending too much time here, maybe.
I actually disagree because I think all 20 senators need to inform the community about it. But
I mean, the edits rather than I agree that the outline of this really does highlight the reading.
Yes, I agree. This is it's a lot of information. So I've been thinking on how to reduce this entire application, and I was taking into consideration of since these programs and events that have actually not happened, and many groups they haven't actually given thoughts about these programs and events. So if they haven't think about these events and programs, it's hard for them to estimate the amount that they need. So this page is provide a purpose for them to actually get started to think about what they actually need to get started with planning for next year. So this is why we request this information. Yeah.
As someone who has filled out spring budgeting, this actually is helpful, just in the sense that when you kind of know how much you're going to need per event, but it's not until questions are asked specifically about how much you allocate for this, how much you allocate for that, you actually really do kind of see what you're really going to need your money for. So it does help because it is a breakdown per event. So I think the page should be there. That's just me.
Any comments? If you have a strong opinion on how we done on these pages, just let me know. We can work things out. Yeah, because I agree with redundant. I tried to fill out an application, it was impossible. Yes. So just a brief overview. We're asking for expenses breakdown, and then revenues breakdown, and then provide a total for each so that we can add it up in an Excel document. Do that 20 times. And yeah, next. And this page has only one question, how much you're asking for, perhaps the most important page. So keep in mind that if they are asking for stuff that are food, beverages, any restricted items, we will not fund that in spring budgeting. They're going to have to apply for a finance waiver during the academic year next year to FICOM, and then FICOM can review it and approve it. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Yes. And just enter the amount that you want from ASUC. And I guess I should add something, which is the limits for the first, second, and third years. SAGs, SSGs, because they can only get so much. Oops. Yes. Mm-hmm.
If you're an engineering group or a HOS group, you have the decision, if you're an ASUC registered group, to either apply to the HOS Business Student Association or the Engineering Student Council or the ASUC. If you get funding from ESC or HBSA, then you can't get funding from the ASUC.
HBSA doesn't do funding.
From what I've understood about the clubs that have applied before, they get $0 in spring budgeting because they assume if you're an engineering organization, you're going to apply to ESC, which then we have to clear. So would there be a way to say, okay, we're not applying to ESC then, and then can you give us the money? Because I've seen it, even on the spreadsheets from the past couple of years, that they apply and they get $0. But also just, I think, having that information.
Yeah, so the ESC notification. And yes, ESC groups, I think they have a choice of applying for ASUC funding or ESC funding, because ESC funding is, some of them comes from ASUC. So the regulation that ESC groups that receive funding from ESC cannot receive funding from ASUC. that regulation is actually with ESC, not with ASUC. So groups can apply for ASUC sponsorship, but if they get funding from ESC, they cannot get funding from ASUC. So they can have ASUC sponsorship and ESC funding at the same time, but just not ASUC funding. So if they do that, they will just enter zero if they're just applying for sponsorship. Yeah. Any other questions? Comments? Because this is pretty much it. And then contact information, provide to contact, very simple. And okay. Did you want to clap? You can clap. Just want to say one more thing, little thing. The year before last year, there were a lot of confusions on whether groups have actually submitted an application. So I provided 2 guides on how to check that. One is to confirm your application. So you have to hit this green check mark and says submit for approval to actually submit the application. So hitting any other button will not submit the application. And then you will see your form was successfully submitted. And then you will get an email confirmation saying that your form was successfully submitted. Keep that form for proof in case I don't have your data, and we can double check. And also we asked that they download a PDF version of this application and upload it back to the CalLink website so that the future officers of the same organization can have the data so that they don't have to repeat entering the same information. So you click this button, PDF button, little thing, and then go to documents and then upload it into that same document. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I know, it's amazing. Questions? Comments, yeah.
Hi, so thank you for coming and for your presentation. If a commission bill states that they get a certain amount of funding, do they still have to go through a certain budget to get that funding, or is it automatically given to them? Or what is the process for them to get funding?
Commission bill?
The sexual assault.
Alan?
Might be an allocation.
Oh, so certain things have minimum funding that they have to get, like sexual assault commission and decal would have to get $5,000 each, and certain grants and scholarships have minimum funding. But that should go through internal funding, right?
Yeah. So these are for student groups and also for ASUC offices. So we also asked all the ASUC programs and operations and offices to submit a spring budgeting applications, but obviously this is too long for them to complete, so most of them don't do that. And so I would cross-check with the bylaws to see what is actually specified in the bylaws. And so for different scholarships, grants, I will put that in the budget. So this application is mainly for student groups, and if you see the budget, you will find that there are a lot of line items that are not student group related.
Okay, because decal board is a student group, but a new bill made it, or is going to make it a commission, so it gets automatic.
So I'll have the information once it becomes a bill.
Thank you.
Program. Yeah. So you can say the appointed officials, the government, the stipends, and the different executive offices, they all have different allocations. And obviously, they don't have to fill out a separate application for each line item. Or go into the bylaws and see what amount has been specified, or look into past allocations to see what has been allocated, and decide what to put. Any general comments, questions? I know this is long, but in my opinion, it is essential for certain groups to complete because, yes, so, thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for all your comments and questions. Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Sitting through that long presentation that was definitely longer than 30 sheets. So moving on the agenda, is the consent calendar and immediate consideration. I think there are a couple items that we have to get. Ale? Yeah. Okay. So, there are a couple things we have to add. Consent calendar and new business. Consent calendar would be the appointment of Shao Ji Banerjee as Judicial Counsel Public Defender, which was moved last week. I'm not sure if he's here right now to talk to you all because he should come. And then for new business, there's the nomination of Olivia Cusimano as Elections Council Prosecutor, Grayson Derrick for Assistant Elections Council Chair, and Tina for Elections Auditor, which is moved by Elections Council. Okay, that's a lot of people. Why are they not? That's a little bit concerning. Yeah, I'll put it. So the first one was this part of the consent calendar and restrictions. You can do it. Specifically for new business though, I would just ask you to wait until we get into new business. But then for the consent calendar, so I'd like to entertain a motion to add those specific appointments to just the agenda. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll pass, but definitely pull it, table it, whatever. But those are names that are up there. Yes, Senator Cruz.
Hi. As for the appointment, I know last week there was some urgency, but seeing as that's no longer a problem, I'm wondering why Conrad wasn't even consulted to anyone on appointing this person, as well as in terms with Olivia being appointed to the Elections Council. Is that a conflict of interest because she works in the AG's office? So those are my two questions.
I can't really answer those questions. So these appointments don't go through Congress, they just go through Elections Council. They do go through FICOM at the end of the year to approve their cycle reports though. Yeah.
I'm just confused because we appointed AG, and technically isn't this position the oppositional position to AG? So why did the Elections Council appoint that and not GCOM?
So not elections. Judicial Council Prosecutor is appointed by Chief Accountability Officer, who's kind of neutral in the whole process. She doesn't have any stake in the game. Elections Council Prosecutor, who's like on the same team as the Attorney General, because they're going to work as a team to find violations and investigate stuff and like prosecute people. They're appointed by Elections Council because they're on the same team, right? But CAO, Accountability Officer, is not on the same team. She's neutral, so she appoints the public defender.
The appointed is considered a public defender. It's not.
So the one
because wasn't this? Forgive me for my confusion, but isn't this the position we just created under the new bylaws, or is this a similar one?
This is the new position that was created, yes. Versus Suji and Bon, I can't pronounce his last name, but Suji, he's the one who was nominated at the end of last week.
Okay, yes, I recall that, but I'm wondering about the position that he's filling. That was a position we just created.
Yeah.
who that was created out of a position that was formerly appointed by Senate, correct? The full position that was split?
It was created out of a position that, I mean, it wasn't exactly there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'll just bring up, I think this is something that we should probably bring up at GCOM or something, because I don't know if that, like, I think that's what I was. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so looking at the consent calendar, is there anything that needs to be pulled? I mean, obviously, Senator.
I would like to pull item G.
The appointment of Shadi Banerjee, consideration. Anything else needs to be pulled? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to pass the consent calendar.
So moved.
Any objections? Motion passes by unanimous consent. The consent calendar is approved. Going into immediate consideration for item G, the appointment of Shadi Banerjee as Judicial Council Defender, moved by the Chief Accountability Officer. I'm going to let Senator Heredia talk about that. Or make a motion for that.
I'd just like to table it until next week so that we can get a chance to talk. Just because I feel like, okay, it may be fine that the purview of appointing all of these people may fall under AG and everyone else, but I think that we have to have a conversation, if not in GCOM as a Senate floor, to be able to say like, okay, we think these people, since they're going to be invested in elections, which is very contested, like, have a conversation about it, at the minimum. Senator Gordon?
I totally agree, but I also remember AG telling us that this was urgent because there is a pending matter that. Okay, okay.
So, Senator Heredia,
I motion to table item G for next week.
any objections? Okay, item G is tabled by unanimous consent. Moving on to new business, I know there were a couple additional, one bill that needs to be added. If anyone could add that bill for item G.
We can just untable it by comment amendment there, so we're back to the consent. Thank you.
So those are the items that are currently up there. So SB 3 of the simplified SB 53 should be sent to XCOM. C could be sent to government. I'd like to entertain a motion to pass or send.
So moved.
Okay, I didn't finish my motion. Okay, any objections? Motion passed by unanimous consent. Those will be discussed in committee this week. Before we move into announcements, I know Senator Ryan wants to talk about the possible change in time again. I know that conversation was really long last time, so I'm moving to action.
Hi everyone, just really quick, since 7:40 is no longer less, I just want to know if there's an earlier time that works for everyone and if everyone's down for an earlier time, if possible.
Yeah, I was wondering what everyone thought about starting at 7:10 because that's Berkeley time, and then it's like I feel like we all have this built-in clock to be on Berkeley time, and then it would just be a round even number, and we all know Senator Perry likes round even numbers. Oh, and Senator McGovern. I can't say it. No, but I'm just being GCOM. Yeah, so. What are Senator's thoughts on starting at 7:10/Alec, is that allowed, /Nicosi, can you come then, can everyone come at 7:10? Because I feel like we also have to consider all the people that are here with us.
I mean, yeah, all of you have to agree to set it to 7:10 if you do. I mean, I'm
I love
fine.
it.
Are you Is there any more discussion that needs to be had before I take a straw poll about 710?
I sorry for making another comment. I do want to make this as quick as possible, but what I actually wanted to ask was if there's an earlier time, maybe if anyone's down for an earlier time. And I mean that doesn't go with everyone's schedule, but if so, can you please raise that, or someone can raise.
I already have class until like 6, and I'd like to have dinner before 7.
The reason the default time was set to 7:20 last year in the bylaws was because that's the approximate time it takes someone to get here from Northside. Because Berkeley time doesn't really count for someone walking here from like kind of Northside. So that's why the default time is 7:20. You can set it earlier than the default time, but you just need to get everyone to agree about it. Like everyone has to say yes.
So I motion to set our start time henceforth at 7:10 p.m.
Okay, those in favor, please raise your hand. So it fails because all 20 have to agree for before 7:20. Does that make sense? So if we select the time that's before 7:20, okay, we've been talking for 3 minutes. So if you want to select a starting time that's before 7:20, then all 20 of you have to agree to that time. Otherwise, the earliest time is 7:20 as an option. Yes, Senator Pelosi.
Not to like single anyone out, but I thought everyone voted yes.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry. What if we did 7:16?
I motion to move it back to 7:20 because this would go with my schedule better. It was the original start time.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, I do like 7:20 just because I know like tonight I have a web tech committee that usually goes from 6 to 7, and it would be nice to get dinner, for longer than 10 minutes.
Okay, so there is a motion on the table. Is there a second for that?
Seconded.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, that is unanimous. Starting time is going to change to 7:20. So just for logistics purposes, let's be quiet, please. Yes, I mean, technically we have to make adjustments for the standing rules, which doesn't seem to be in this one. That's embarrassing. So I would like to entertain a motion to change the standing rules of order to reflect the 7:20 start time.
So moved.
Any objections? Motion passes by unanimous consent. Okay, we're going to move on to announcements. I believe we started at Senator Kobusi last time, so we're going to start with Senator Deschamps.
On Friday, this Friday at 9 a.m. is the campus awareness. So it is from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you do have time, anytime throughout the whole day, please stop by. We put in a lot of time into it. So we'd love to see you there. And then as Peter said, the next city council meeting, we are having a march. We'd like to see there at 5:30. Meeting there. And then if you don't
want to do the march, we want to go to the city council. 6:30 is public comment.
So that email that was sent out, I just want to say a few words about that. I think obviously everything that was sent in the email, no. Okay, well, criticizing the fact, like whether we're a good senator or not, bad senator or not, that's fine, you're entitled to your opinion, whoever that person was. But criticizing our personal life and our characteristics, criticizing some of us in a sexual manner, thinking that you can drag our personal lives in this, and thinking you can make a joke about that, not allowed. And whoever has the audacity to do that, if I find you, it's going to be another story altogether. You've hurt my friends in the process, and none of us will stand for it. None of us, all 20 of us, will not stand for something like that. I just want to say that, a lot of people were pointing fingers at a lot of people, from Kevin to other people, whoever did this has too much time on their damn hands. Who would come up with this elaborate hoax and this scheme to, target us against each other? It's dumb. And, I'm sorry if I myself had thoughts that someone else on some other side or somewhere did it. When I initially saw the evidence, it pointed somewhere I thought anything as well. I want to apologize for that. But just what separates us from other, maybe governments or whatever that is that we have humanity. There's things that separate us. There's humanity. And let's not lose that. No matter what we try to do, whatever we try to do outside. So just keep that in mind and let's work together to do something good this semester. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm going to keep this a little bit short, only 3 things. The first thing is, I'm meeting with the RSF director tomorrow at 2 p.m. to discuss putting in sensors into the RSF. We're also bringing on someone from Density, which is a Berkeley startup that's focused on tracking foot traffic. So they do have the technology in order to do this. I'm hoping to get them the funding through the student tech fee. So show up if you want to be a part of that discussion. Also, I am now going to be holding small lessons on Arduino and electrical engineering during my office meetings. I think it's just way more fun to be teaching people things. On Sundays at 1 p.m. in Stanley Hall, so please let me know if you're interested. I did take a class on Arduino last semester in the College of Environmental Design, which I did not expect it at all. But it was taught, it was like electrical engineering taught in a way that was accessible to architecture majors. So it was very interesting, and I kind of want to bring that feel to anyone in the ACC who wanted to be a part of that. So if you're free on Sundays, please let me know. And then lastly, I really wanted to address something that came up in the Daily Cal this week. The website. So Lonnie and I both sit on the website committee. It's been kind of a fun time. And I just wanted to let you all know that, yes, there was a mistake made. I personally, as a member of that committee, do take full responsibility for any sort of miscommunications that occurred. However, we do think, after meeting multiple times, that not only is Front Group Design the best group that we came across in order to do this work, because they would be working on this full time, but also this is really in order to not only just improve the internal things of the ACC, but to give student groups better access to the kind of programs that we offer, kind of resources that we offer. So ultimately, yes, this is a great initial investment, and yes, you might be asked about this, but I really, really strongly want to emphasize the fact that at the end of this, we will come out of this process as a stronger organization, and also as a result of that, we will be able to serve student organizations better. So please talk to Lonnie or I if you have more questions about that. Thank you.
No new announcements.
No new announcements.
I received a second what they said, and also, whoever has had a color code, anything, there's way too much time. So, laptops are coming along. I talked to the Training Center Health Promotions, and once they go through and do everything, it'll be moved on their website. Also, we'll be doing napkins that will randomly pass out to students that have a little sleep mask that cover your eyes with earplugs and aromatherapy. Also, thank you all for passing the tea bill. Yay!
UCSA sent us some photos this weekend. If you have any questions, again, I'm always free to talk. And then the last thing was shout out to everybody that's been like holding up with all this hate. I really admire the fact that nobody actually takes these allegations seriously. You know, that like other people, that one of us would do that to each other. So in that, in light of that, can we all take a picture together since we all look good? We're excited to meet again. But other than that, have a great night.
I have a few announcements. Thank you for everyone who came out to the service fair. I think it went really well. I want to second what Justin said, which is that the survey is out, which is so exciting. Yay! There are about 10 really important questions to the wellness referendum on there, so please circulate it to your communities. I'll skip over that. I wanted to just briefly talk about Davis and their divestment vote, and that the kind of hate that students have been experiencing there is very parallel to what we've seen on our campus, both with, especially, not just, but especially with the Muslim community and the Jewish community, that the kind of slurs that people have been getting, just walking across campus, getting in their inboxes, is not cool, and it's something that you might think is kind of far away, but I'm letting you know it's really close to home, as many other senators have also talked about, and that, but that I'm also really happy that the divestment vote passed, and I'm happy with where this movement is going, that I'm going to hopefully make it a priority to keep you all informed about what's going on. In the month of January, over 20 families were displaced due to their homes being bulldozed by the companies that divestment is asking us to divest from. So as a Palestinian person with family in the region, and I think I would echo this for any other Palestinians at any other UC campus, it feels really good to see my student government and student governments really taking a stand against the companies that are profiting off of my families or families I know being kicked out of their homes. So I'm really happy about that. And was there anything else? And that in a possibly unrelated or related event, I'm sure you all have heard that a house at UC Davis, the Amy Pie house, was vandalized, and I just wanted to say that that's awful and that shouldn't happen, and that as someone who stands up against injustice, that is unjust. And then last thing is just I have lots of love for y'all. Don't let anybody get you down, even though it can be hard. Sexism is real, especially for women that get to this place. It's especially hard. I've never faced more sexism than I have in my term as a senator. So, yeah, keep on, keep on.
We want to create as much of a diverse opportunity for different groups. So, for example, I would really like to showcase a student organization from the chemistry department, from the math department, from one of the cultural organizations on campus, and et cetera. So if you know any organization that you think has shown amazing work, whether it's outreach to communities surrounding Berkeley or whether it's on campus, I would really appreciate if you could recommend any STEM organizations that are related that would be willing to have about 10 minutes. It's a really big stage, maybe like a 30-foot stage that was really with superb. So they'll be on that, they'll be backdrop. So if you send me an email or you could at least blast that out to your communities, I really appreciate it. We're probably going to be finalizing the showcases within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And this is just something that I'm really excited about. So I'm in one of my mechanical engineering design classes, and a lot of design classes have us build some sort of thing. We find a need, we design it, we prototype it in the machine shop. And this year, one of the classes has decided to work with DSP students to find out what their needs are. So instead of us building like last semester, I want like build an automatic shot drinks. Shot maker. So instead of building things that students just might be fun, we're trying to figure out what can we actually do to make a difference on campus or with the students. So that's going on. I'm really excited. We'll see if we can make that happen in more classes on campus. Thank you.
Any announcements?
Just one announcement, I guess, or 2 announcements. I don't know, just one. Tomorrow there are 2 fundraisers. If any of you know what tamales are or what arroz con leche is, I think we sell them on Sprout. It'll start like at 10 a.m. So they usually go from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So if you have a free time, feel free to support a fundraiser. Most of them actually go to scholarships for undocumented students. So I mean, get good food and help out.
I have some announcements. One, I just want to remind everyone that all our interns got sent to our Berkeley email. It's really exciting to got them. They're very happy. And also that I want to do some intern mixers. I just don't feel like there's a standardized way for interns to get to know each other once they're kind of in their office, especially in the spring semester. So if you're interested in doing an office mixer with me, hit me up. Second thing is that I want to comment on the email. And I want to reframe something that I've said. So I know that I commented on how I would like the Senate to not use, and the Senate guests to not use certain words and like refrain from cussing. And I want to reframe it so that I don't use the word professionalism and rather say that just as we don't say you guys, let us make everyone feel welcome and safe in the space and not use words that make others feel uncomfortable. And then that's all I'm going to say about the email. And I just want to thank the senators that reached out to me and showed me so much love, especially Matt Gordon and Lisa, who's our senator, who showed me so much love. And to those that came over and ate cheese sticks and go Bears.
Hi everyone. That's a couple of announcements. I've also been gone for a week, so if I dropped off the face of the planet, there was a death in the family, so I was home for the past week. I got back yesterday, so I'm suddenly back in a lot of emails and stuff. But this Saturday is the March for Real Climate Leadership. I'm going to pass these around because I have about 5,000 of them, literally. I'm here in my actual box, my mailbox, yes. So if you could take those, that would be lovely. There's a couple different options. It's Saturday. There's going to be 10,000 Californians in Oakland to tell Governor Brown that we want to ban fracking in California, which is very important. If you don't know what fracking is, please come talk to me. Maybe a safety and we'll have a very long conversation about hydraulic fracturing. Also, OCR is the Office of Civil Rights from the Department of Education, and they've been on campus this past week per the Title IX complaints that were filed and the hearing complaints. So I met with them today at their office hours. Today was the last day for their office hours, but if you do have stuff that you'd like to tell them, you can send them an email. I really hope everybody's listening to this because it's really important. But yeah, if you want to talk to OCR, please let connect you with them or if anyone else needs to hear from them. We're also in the process of writing an MOU, memorandum of understanding with BAYWAR, Bay Area Women Against Rape, because right now we don't have 24-hour services, and we're trying to do that per the new UCOP policy, which Rishi is going to streamline and send out to you. So we're doing BAYWAR training sessions next week to kind of figure out how that will look. And also that gardening meeting, so we can get some on-campus orchards going, and like a food forest and stuff, is finally happening tomorrow after we rescheduled 4 times. So I will let you know how that goes. Also, buy your tickets for Vagina Monologue. Yeah, that's it.
I love the Vagina Monologues. I run it every year, and I don't know if I'm doing it again. Echoing what everyone said, what Madison said really too, about all the hate that's happening at Davis. For a lot of students, like, be aware. I just want to really, again, like, single out Hannah and say, like, don't let anyone place a worth on you. Don't let anyone, like, say things like, that's you, that's a gender crime. Like, that was, like, a horrible thing for me to read. I can't imagine how you felt, but I'm behind you. Like, I'm so sorry. I have a much coveted meeting with Office of the Registrar tomorrow, which I've been like trying to get for a long time, to talk about the room reservation system that they're updating this year. It's a really big deal, actually, and I really want senatorial support. I'm going to go to this meeting tomorrow and report back to you on kind of what they want. But they seem really open to having other senators, this work group. Poppin's going to be on it too. So very exciting. At the very least, I'll be reaching out to you all to get kind of an idea of community spacing needs and kind of what people want to see from this. It seems like they are working through a couple of different possible platforms for it, so that's part of what the work group is going to be deciding. I'll let you know more as I find out. The Barry Moore's Memorial that I told you about is on Sunday at 4. I'm going to go, so I hope to see people there if you'd like to come support. And then, not related at all even to Berkeley, but just really awesome, the company that I work for, the nonprofit that I work for, is hosting, we just scheduled today, Talib Kweli in the city on March 20th. And I'm going to be there working the event, so if you want to go, you should come. Yeah, talk to me. That's it.
No new announcements.
Hi everyone. Spring semester is when some of my favorite events are. The Uni Student Association's cultural show is coming up in April. And so we'll be having a performance play about sex trafficking, and also we'll be having a performance from Get's team. Ours is called Sriracha. Also, if any of you all like to volunteer with high school students, we have our outreach program Vision coming up. I don't want to take too much time, so please come to me if you're actually interested. We can talk more about that. And then lastly, Asian Business Association is holding Vita training, which is something that I like to participate in every year. So if you'd like to come with me, we basically get training from IRS professionals, and we go to San Francisco to help out families who can't afford other services due to taxes. Yeah.
Thank you. Speaking of culture shows, the Filipino community does one as well. It's called PCN, Filipino Cultural Night. So we're having our theme revelation on February 10th at 7 p.m. The location is to be determined, but we do our themes are on different issues. Last year we did one on immigration, and the year before that we did on urban renewal. So it's a lot of an artistic way of seeing how social movements affect our community. Also, a heads up on March 1st. Cal men's basketball will be coming against Oregon State, and that will also be Filipino Heritage Night. And so y'all can buy a $7 ticket and get a free shirt. So if you go and buy your ticket and say Filipino Heritage Night, you can get a free shirt once you go. And there will be food, entertainment, and
So I'm not going to do any announcements tonight, but I do want to address the email. Like I said, in your text to everyone, I'm really sorry those things were written about you. Completely wrong. Indefensible. But I'm really angry that I start getting phone calls and all these things coming at me from people who I don't know or who like I'm not really there with my party, I'm not close with, telling me to prepare, like, oh, did you do this? Prepare for this shitstorm that's coming away. I'm sorry. I didn't do it. I'll show people texts, I'll show people emails, but the thing that makes me so angry is that, like, let's look a little closer to home. It's people know who did it. And I'm livid because don't lie to me. I hate being lied to. If you know about it, speak the truth. And I don't want to have these patterns where I keep being fucked with. Like, I'm over it. I don't believe I would dream tricks with people. I don't expect other people to do it. And I'm pissed about it. So, the truth will come out. People should be ready. You know, like, I don't want to be naming names of people who I think did it or whatever, but I do want to put it behind this, but also partially don't, because it's a gross violation of our trust as a group, of the community that we built here, and there needs to be accountability. So, I'm angry, clearly, and I don't want to make it about me. I'm really sorry for the things that were said around the table, or written in the email rather, for some of us around the table, and it's wrong, it's sad, it's not okay, it's really hurtful. You know, I keep almost swearing, so I'm trying not to do that. But I would much rather, before this turns into some big scandal, if you know you did who did it, go forward, let's apologize, be real, take accountability, and we can move past it. But no more of this shit. I'm serious. This is so ridiculous. So I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry that people were affected. And
Hi everyone, thank you for being patient on the last one. Thank you for that, Austin. Give a quick update on what's going on in my office, because we're doing a lot of cool stuff. Finally met with Rudy Mendoza-Dente about the wellness seminar. It's really exciting. So what they finally decided is it's going to be, I think it's about an hour class with like a 30 to a 45-minute video with a specialist talking about some of the topics that we picked. And so the really exciting part is they really want student involvement. So they really want leaders in the community to be featured in the video. So if you have anyone in mind who like is really good at talking about like power and privilege, I have Lisa coming to CZ tomorrow to give a workshop on it, you know, like stuff like that. Anyone from your community you want to get involved, like someone like wellness, like Madison Gordon like knows her stuff about that. So like that's what I like think about. So yeah, like all of y'all are like encouraged, come talk to me, I'm really excited about that. And also he wants to know if there's any relevant TED Talks that are awesome that we like, so like send those my way. ASUC conference is Saturday, super excited, 8:30 to 5. It's sold out, so like if you didn't get a ticket, I'm sorry. Okay, forum is going to be February 26th. Time and location TBD. Thank you, Vinay, for sending someone my way. Anyone else, like please send people from your communities, just email me. It's going to be first come, first served because it can only be 20 to 30 people, and I'm trying to get like representative groups of pre-med students. You can talk on it. Alcohol committees. Thank you, senators who held your committee meetings. I really need to hold another town hall, so like it would be awesome if y'all's committees could meet. Like Melissa's already scheduling for like second and third meetings, but she's on top of it. Also, senators, I know we're all busy, so if you're a chair of a committee and like don't think you can handle it, let me know ASAP and I'll like do it. But I just want like those to get going. Sorry, I'm almost finished. I4C auditions, improv team is Sunday night at 7. And then also Party Safe Town Hall is meeting February 17th at 7 p.m. It's TBD, but it's really important, especially if you're in like a large housing community, like maybe the group system, like it's really important to go. And then finally, I just wanted to talk about the email like briefly. I know we touched upon it, and it's like kind of sickens me that this person got what they wanted because it's taken up so much Senate space. But at the same time, it's not something to be ignored. Like my heart was out to you, Senator Frankel, and some of the others that were backlash. As someone who gets like email hate on the reg, like it's the worst feeling. So just know that haters are gonna hate, ballers are gonna ball. You're obviously a baller, and that's why they're hating. But in another, like, serious terms, like, y'all, like, Austin's great. Like, so I talked to Daily Cal, because they got a weird anonymous email, like, incidentally around the same time. And, like, there was some, like, major intimate stuff that only someone who attended the Conrad meeting on January 26th would have known. Like, even calling out Daily Cal for not being there. Sorry, Daily Cal. But, like, seriously, like, we, I guess, like, need to be careful about what we're speaking and how we're speaking, and then anyone who's in this room who attends those meetings, if you have a problem, tell us. Like, the reason the ASUC is a, like, speedy storm sometimes is because of bureaucratic nonsense like this. Like, look at me. I'm making my announcements and then I have to go off on this tangent. Anyway, the email threatens something about CalSec and Squelch. Like, I know mine's gonna probably tear me apart, so, like, I welcome it. Like, seriously, if you have the time to tear me apart like that and I find out who you are, like, I will just love you with hugs and other goodies. So, anyway, warm and fuzzies to Austin and Hannah for having such a friggin' rough week. Sorry, I said friggin', that's the best I can do. And I love and respect all of you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It was great. Thanks for listening. Moving on to the last part of the agenda, which is roll call. Senator Burks.
Present.
Senator Desai. Senator Deschamps.
Present.
Senator Pringle. Senator Gabrielle.
Present.
Senator Ginsky.
Present.
Senator Gordon.
Present.
Senator Torrey. Present. Senator Schmidt.
Present.
Senator Stewart.
Present.
Senator John Hall.
Present.
Senator Kabusi.
Present.
Senator Lee.
Present.
Senator Nongbakar.
Present.
Senator Nabi.
Present.
Senator Dillon. Present. Senator Putzkat.
Present.
Senator Perry. Senator Mesh.
Present.